Good evening, and welcome to tonight's Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of School Trustees meeting. We begin this meeting, as we do each meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Good evening, Antoinette Payne, District 4.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Noah Smith, District 3.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
And to my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniels, Superintendent of Fort Wayne Community Schools, and Angie Filler, Clerk of the Board, and I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. This evening, we have no awards and recognition, so we start with our consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes from the regular meeting on November 11th, 2024, vouchers and payroll approval, and the personnel report. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Tony. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Dr. Daniel, did you have anything? No? Okay. Okay. No old business. That takes us to new business. Steve, you up and running?
Sure.
Okay.
It is recommended the board approve the acceptance of the Title III grant for 2024-25 in the amount of $482,976 from the Indiana Department of Education. The grant funds will allow for the continuation of a range of supplemental services for the district's English language learner program. The grant supports supplemental instructional materials, professional learning, and family engagement. Emily Schwartz-Kearns, Director of ELL, is here to answer any of our questions that we may have for her.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Emily?
Emily, what do our numbers look like this year, just out of curiosity, compared to last year?
I knew I'd have to be prepared for that. So our fall count last year, we do it October 1st, which is our official count to the DOE. Last year we were just over 3,900 English learner students. This year we're just about 4,400. So we are up almost 500 students over last year at this time. And those are current English learners, not those who have exited.
Is that enough? Have we had to add any staff or?
Yes, each year over recent years we've added through the allocations process that we do in the spring looking to the next year, and then this year we just added a couple after school started because of the increases.
How does the grant dollar-wise compare to prior years? Similar, flat?
Well, it's up about $34,000 this year, but about $32,000 of that is due to an increase in the non-public schools. So that money goes to support EL students in non-public schools. So
does that mean they're experiencing a growth as well?
yes, there is some growth, and part of it is due to a school that has significant numbers that didn't have a count the last few years and now does. So part of it's actual students, part of it's just counted students for funding.
Do we, since we're administering that, do we have any sense or idea how many kids they have?
Yeah, 709 in the non-public schools that lie in our boundaries. And that was as of last fall, the fall 2023 count. So presumably they have more this year, just like we do.
And then back to your original numbers with Julie, the 4,400, that's just our numbers, that's not everybody?
Correct. The 4,400 is Fort Wayne Community Schools.
So there were 5,000 non-English language speakers in our Allen County? Or no, in our Fort Wayne Community School footprint, right?
Right. And so the non-public schools we serve are those that lie within the FWCS boundaries.
And to be clear, this is coming from the Department of Education, but it's originally coming from the federal government?
Yes.
It filters down.
Yes.
Yes. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next up, we have the appointment of construction contracts. Tony, are you? Yep. Thanks.
It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contracts for the 2025 physical plant improvement projects. There's GBS 1 with CME Construction for $690,243. R1 Roofing, Barefoot Construction Trades, Fort Wayne Roofing, $598,400. R2 Roofing at Croninger, also Fort Wayne Roofing for $228,800. Flooring from Jeff Floyd Group, $215,500. And Darren Hess, Director of Facilities, will be available to answer questions.
Thanks, Tony. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Tony. Any questions for Darren?
What's GBS 1? Curiosity.
That just stands for General Building Systems. So that's your doors, minor renovations, casework.
And the flooring, is that at one school or multiple?
That's at multiple schools.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Darren. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Julie, can you do the next one? Thanks.
It's recommended that the board approve the contract amendments with Hagerman, Inc. as part of the construction manager as constructor contract for Wayne Kitchen Improvements and the Snyder Athletic Facilities Improvements previously approved on June 10th and August 12th, 2024 respectively. So the Wayne Kitchen Improvements, I don't know, amendment amount and the amended contract amount appears to be the same. Interesting. Snyder Athletic Facility Improvements, amended amount is about, what, 25,000 more. The contract procurement method for this project is the construction manager as constructor for publicly funded projects as allowable per Indiana code. This amendment establishes the final overall guaranteed maximum price for the Wayne Kitchen Improvement Project and the first contract amendment for the early construction package to construct a parking lot and relocate the tennis courts to Lane Middle School for the athletic facilities improvements project at Snyder. And Darren Hess is still here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Darren?
Is that a
Typo.
Is that a typo in the Wayne Kitchen, that there's no increase in cost, or is it just an increase in something they're
So it's
doing?
increase in the scope of work. The original contract that was approved was actually $0 for Hagerman. They are donating the pre-construction services because they're already at Wayne High School finishing up the renovation. So we appreciate the donation.
Nice.
Will Wayne's be done with the summer?
Yes, we're going to start work right here in about a month, and the intent is to have it done by the fall 25-26 school year.
Was disrupt flow of services or anything for the kids?
Yeah, the second semester, we've been working with nutrition services. They're going to bring in food from the nutrition processing plant or center, as well as, I believe, Miami and Tolls for that second semester that will have a kitchen under renovation.
Any other questions? Thanks, Darren. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Noah, can you do the emergency projects?
It's recommended the board declare an emergency for the following projects and allocate funds for the emergency allocation within the capital projects plan, also known as the CPP. Wayne High School, repair a water main break on the west side of the property near loading docks. Harris Elementary, repair water main break on the southeast side of the property. Snyder High School, replace section of damaged sanitary sewer piping. And Hull Elementary, repair water main break outside boiler room for a total cost of $54,372.50. The 2024 CPP consists of all capital projects that cost $10,000 or more, new projects over $10,000 determined after CPP was approved, or required to file an advertisement and approval requirements of amended CPP. However, IC 20-40-18-6 allows the board to determine that emergency exists and therefore amends the current CPP without the usual amendment procedures. The 24 operations fund budget includes an appropriation for emergency capital projects, and Darren is again here to answer questions.
Thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Darren?
So how much is in our emergency budget?
So we've been allocating $200,000 annually, and this year we actually went up to $207,000 expenses. So we usually stay around 140, 150, but we had a couple last month that hit us.
And those will be in 24's budget cycle?
Yes, this is the 2024 CPP allotment.
And these approvals tonight will be in there too?
Yes. That's part of that 207 in expenses for the year.
Will you keep the same 200,000 sort of cushion, or will we increase that?
We've kept it for 200 next year, but I'm keeping an eye on that. I think for 2026, we may bump that to 250 or 275 because we're consistently starting to get more and more each year.
Yeah,
With the water line and the sanitary sewers just aging.
yeah. So have we had a water main break at every location yet?
We've had quite a few over the years, that's for sure.
Thanks, Darren. Any other questions?
I'd like to hear you yell and hide and clear an emergency.
I think that Noah's emphasis on the word emergency was quite enough for everyone. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I love it. All right. It is recommended that the board approve the appointment of architect engineer services for the Early Learning Child Care Center project. The architect engineer is Garmin Miller. The estimated design contract is $680,350. The estimated construction budget is $12,370,000. Indiana law requires that projects over $100,000 make use of a registered architect or a professional engineer for developing plans and specifications. And Darren is still here to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Thanks, Ann.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Darren on the Early Learning Center?
Do we have a rough timeline for architectural
this-
work followed by bidding?
Yeah, so for this project right now, design development, which is basically 75% design, is scheduled for May 31st, 2025. At that time, we're going to take a pause, see where we're at with funding efforts before we move on, because that final 20%, finalizing the documents and putting it out to bid, we want to be careful we don't hit the market too soon, because specifications change on model numbers of material, changes in color of carpets, so we don't want to go too far and then have to go and revise that when we actually bid a project out. But right now, that's our next milestone, is the end of May of this summer.
Thanks.
Any other questions? No. Thanks, Darren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is all of our business, and now we have a special report from student advocates. Matt Schiebel, Executive Director of Safety and Community Partnerships, will discuss the role and impact of the FWCS student advocates, along with showing a video. 3 student advocates will share their reflections on their contributions to increasing safety and student well-being. Mike Manuel, Director of Security and Supervisors of Security, Cleveland, is it Inge, and Zorana Lynchner, yes, Lynchner, thank you, and Tom Miller will be available to answer any questions. The floor is yours.
All right, good evening, President Norman, members of the board, Dr. Daniel. Here to present a relatively new position in our district, and that is the student advocate position. The green means it's on, right?
And I brought batteries this time.
There you go.
Jack just needs to get it started again.
Yes, and I did.
Thank you, Jack.
I was just saying.
There it goes.
There we go.
All right, so here we go. Student advocates in Fort Wayne Community Schools. That was a twin day at Portage, by the way. So,
Nice.
BJ had his twin there, and I'm glad to see that they participated. So how did we get here? I wanted just to give you a brief timeline of how that happened. Back in February of 2023, there was an outcry in the community that said that we'd had too many guns on school property, and as we rallied around that, Dr. Daniel formed a group of nonprofits, business members, Fort Wayne PD, Fort Wayne Fire Department, local pastors, to begin forming a committee to address this. What they decided to do then from that particular group is to establish a call for a referendum. So prior to that then, in March 23, we wanted to design a outcome for student advocates. And so we actually went to put that together by including a large number of internal people that even included students. So you can see the list of people that we had come to this. Mike Manuel did some homework prior to this and visited some other districts to get an idea of what a advocate could be. But we really wanted it to be involved not only with internal people but external partners. We actually did a wise thing, which was we piloted the program before the referendum. It gave us kind of some data to see if it was actually going to be a viable process. You guys approved a referendum in January, and then we went through and won the referendum in November. So prior to that then, this has been our timeline since. So we started hiring because, of course, the money didn't start flowing until January. So between January and May, we hired the secondary student advocates, 2 at each high school, 1 at each middle school. Then in May through July, we were able to actually, through Rosie's budgeting process, helped us decide that we could actually hire 10 elementary advocates. So we did that and got them in place. And now we are in the final push to hire the remaining 22 elementary advocates, and we hope to have them all in place by January. So, like the referendum, the job duties of the advocates are really divided into 2 primary focuses. One is security, and the other is well-being. So I've listed up there for you some of the things that our advocates do as far as the security lens that they are responsible for. So you can see that a lot of it works with making sure doors are secured, operating the new weapons detectors, making sure that if visitors come in and alert, they're there as a support, making sure that they provide substitute teachers with support, because substitute teachers may not necessarily know the evacuation plans during emergencies. They're also fit to help with Crisis Go, and in some of our buildings, our advocates are actually running the Crisis Go management system. They also do some documentation so we can see the evidence of their impact, and I'll show you that later. And they also participate in professional learning from both our security department. The Fort Wayne PD has helped them learn how to be crossing guards in the case that we have shortages there. And then they also have other experts in security that support that side. With regards to their well-being, relationship building is important, and I think you'll see that when we look at the principal testimonials. The positive relationship building is actually foundational to this entire job. They are that one person in the building that always has the time to work with kids that need some regulation. We also are looking to get professional learning, whether it's around supportive restorative practices, brain-based research, any of that kind of thing that help meet the needs of our students in the short term. And then the other thing that they're really important for doing is making sure that they connect students to the proper resources if after a few minutes they can't get a student regulated and back into class. Where does that student go? And so you can see some examples of places that they would pass a student off to if they couldn't get them back into the classroom. They also work with their security supervisors who are here tonight. So one of the things that we are really appreciative of with our supervisors is that they're in the building each week. So when they're in the building, they provide coaching for the advocates. They are able to talk to the advocates to find out if there's any trends or anything that needs to be reviewed. And they also get feedback from the principal. So that's, again, another benefit of having this referendum, is that we have people that are out in the building supervising, because really these advocates, even though they work in the building, they really are the employees of the security department. And then we've also been getting some really good professional learning from Dr. Griffin in the student and staff relationship building department, where he is working on how students learn to build relationships with students and adults maybe that don't have similar beliefs to them. And then we also get a lot of work from Don Lorraine Reese in the well-being department on how to work with students who are escalated and how to help them de-escalate. So I've been happy that we've been able to have plenty of professional learning. There we go. Whoop. This thing just does not like me. So I wanted an opportunity to introduce you to some of the people, because I don't know that you've met necessarily in public all of our people. So I think we already know Mike Manuel, and I give Mike Manuel all the credit for really being able to place a framework for security that really has guided everything we've done. Mike was here long before I was, and I continue to say that I learned as much from him as I could possibly give back. So Mike's been here frequently, and we thank him. Tom has also been here for a while. So Tom, you stand up so we can say hi to you. So Tom supervises all of our secondary schools. Prior to this, Tom was a supervisor over all 52 schools. So now we've been able to place him in secondary schools only. The two that you haven't met in person, Cleveland Inge, please stand all the way in the back. And Cleveland supervises our 16 South Elementary schools, and Zorana Linsner also in the back, our 16 North Elementary schools. And so happy to have all of them. All three of them come with law enforcement experience. So Cleveland was with Fort Wayne PD, Zorana was at Indianapolis PD, and I believe Tom Miller is still doing some work with the county. So, and as an aside, Zorana happened to be my student when I was the principal at Northwood Middle School. So got to add that. So. We also have Tanya Steinke Johnson. She's not here today, but she has been invaluable, and we have really stretched her to be a person who's in charge of data collection. Everything that we're doing with student advocates, what people have to understand, it's a brand new position. We literally are building it from the ground up, and as we expand our department from 3 to 63 people, she has been instrumental on keeping all this moving in the right direction and constantly changing and adjusting what we do as we collect data. And then Aura has been here for quite some time, and so she keeps helping in any way we ask, but she does all the difficult work with alarms and intrusion control. So I thought probably the best way to actually show you what a student advocate does was have a production of Day in the Life. So this is Mark Abrams and Nicole Edwards. They work together at Northside High School, and they've been an effective team, so I wanted you to see what a day for them is like.
Security is reactive, where advocates are proactive. They are monitoring, they are looking to find ways to interact with kids in a positive way.
I think that this position has been needed for FWCS for a long time. Just the bridge between the kids being able to be upfront and honest with you about however they're feeling, but then you're still able to support that kid in the classroom and what the teacher may need. Just being that bridge, I think, is something that the district has needed for a long time. The job title says it all, just advocating for students.
As an initiative, the advocates create a layer for the schools, a layer to address changes that have occurred in the student body over the past 10 years, specifically in the past 6 years. We've seen a dramatic change in the mindset of kids and their ability to handle conflicts, having an opportunity to interact with them on a non-disciplinary avenue. They don't interact with discipline. What they do 100% is to find ways to help kids move throughout their day, but also be an advocate for them outside of school, interacting with them. So those kinds of things, that initiative is probably the biggest benefit that we've seen so far.
I think we make a big difference with students and behavior and like the way that they conduct themselves like at school and in the hallway and even with teachers. Like they'll come to us and talk to us like about issues they have within the classroom, and if we have a relationship with that teacher, we can go talk to the teacher and try to like resolve the issue.
As a team, it is beneficial to them to have, not to have somebody that they can share ideas with. Their role is new. So finding a way to work cooperatively.
Life experiences kind of help bridge those gaps, but also just having just some care and some compassion, meeting the kids where they are.
Girl, I got an A on that assignment. You did? Yes, I aced it. Good, I'm proud of you. Yeah, did you have a good meeting? It was cool. I got the A, I got better. Combinations, and we talked about
Having a sort of a diverse team of advocates, it really tries to eliminate those situations where a student might not feel comfortable with one person, but can feel comfortable with the other person. Then they obviously see things from a different perspective because of their initial, their backgrounds.
Daily, we are depositing those tokens into these kids' lives, letting them know that we care, letting them know that we're here for them. We've had a lot go on this school year with, loss of students or the death of a student, or just hit or miss with students being in and out of our school. But I feel like we've done our best to support our kids and be there for our kids in any genuine, raw way.
They're good people. Yeah. Every school should have student advocates, if you ask me, but like them.
They help keep me on track and make sure I'm getting to class on time and actually in class. And then I always just have someone to just talk to if I'm bored or just need someone to talk to. And then Mr. Abram, he's a pretty funny guy.
Having people within the school and like me and Nicole, and just kind of pushing those kids to do the best that they can do, but still hold them accountable is something that I think the schools need, and I'm glad that every school will have a student advocate.
All right, so I want to thank Austin Russell for that video. He really captured what a day in the life of our advocates is truly to be. So I also thought that it would be good for you to hear from people who are actually in the trenches. We know that I'm going to give you a good overview, but nothing's better than hearing it from the people that actually do it. So I invited 3 people, one from each level, to come speak to us. And I'm pretty excited about not only the work that they do in school, but some of the work that they do outside school. Afrika Allison from Northrop has also been part of the 10-Point Coalition, so she's been really active in our community. Damon Robinson, you may recognize the last name. Damon is the son of our former superintendent, and he's working on a nonprofit of his own. And Wayne Kelly has a mom that also contributes to the well-being of students at East Allen County. So it's interesting how all of them come from some kind of educational background and do some interesting and impactful work. So why don't you all come up here at the same time? I've asked them each to spend a minute or two just to explain how they either have impacted well-being or security, and maybe a memorable story and how they've done that. Afrika, your name is first. You get to lead it off.
Now, how did we do that?
Alphabetical.
I'll take that. Again, my name is Afrika Allison. I am a student advocate at Northrop High School, where I love what I do. I have been working with children for many, many years. I started off working in a daycare. Then I went to East Allen County. I've worked with Parks and Rec, which I still do. So being at Northrop right now, I've been trying to get back to the high school. So when this job opened, it was just perfect. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And of course, you see my prayers came true. But I'm running into kids that I had at East Allen. I'm running into kids that I had at McMillan. I'm running into kids that I've babysat or had daycare for, that I know their parents. But coming into what the student advocate position, sometimes we're their only safe place. So we don't know a lot of these kids' story. And when you meet them, even at their worst, once they open up and they feel they can trust you and they sense that loyalty that you have to them and that you're really there for them, they open up so much more. So for me, if I can just affect one person, I've done my job. If I can make one person smile, I've done my job. So I have one student, he comes from a ugly background. He's been place to place, city to city, no parents, and no biological family that's raising him right now. So when he came to enroll during enrollment days. I just remembered him. So when school started, maybe about the second or third day, I seen him. And I was like, do you remember me when you came or whatever? And he was like, yeah, kind of, sort of, I remember you. So we just kind of started talking from there, right? So he always walks around with a frown on his face. He's never smiling. He's never happy. So one day I stopped him in the hall. I said, from now on, every time you see me, you have to smile. I said, you can't pass me. You can't stop. You can't go until you smile for me. And so every day, if I don't see him, he calls my name out and he gives me a smile before he keep going in the halls. And for this same student, he like I said, he's come from a major background, so he's been on probation for a while. And on his 18th birthday, which was November 20th, he's off of probation. He made it to 18, and he's still in school. Awesome. So it took some work, and we still have some work to do. But that's just one of them. But I say it to say, Mark said it in his interview, we have to be transparent, and sometimes we have to meet them where they're at. So even on their worst days, with the worst attitude or the worst behavior, you still have to learn how and what mechanism works for each child, because each child, you can't use the same mechanism, because everybody's story is different. So the student advocate, honestly, not only are we a safe place for them, we're also making sure that they are safe. So creating this position was one of the best things I feel you guys could have done. Please don't take it from us. Good job.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'll first start by saying I am thrilled to be in this position. Absolutely. Honestly, when I read the description of the job, someone that was there with me said, "That is you. That is literally you." My background really isn't in education as much as I should have been a teacher. We won't go there. Anyways, but I have 15 years experience in Pee Wee football. And speaking of that, that makes me think of one student in particular. Again, not having a educational background as far as being in school. So my first experience that first week in middle school, lunchroom, as you all probably, I walk in the lunchroom, and just so happens that one of our, let's just say, most rambunctious group sits right by the door. And this one particular kid caught my eye because he's pretty big and very aggressive. And he was bumping all his friends. So I told him to stop, and he kind of gave me one of those, "Dude, who are you? Get away from me." So fast forward, football's coming up, and ding, 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 my coaching kicks in. I'm like, "Hey, you playing football?" And he had the nerve to tell me, I mind you, he's 6'1", maybe 6'2", 200-something pounds. Straight football player. Never played football. I'm astounded. I'm like, there's no way you're telling me you've never played football. Long story short, ended up being one of our best football players on the team. An anchor on our defense and offense. Also, grades weren't the best at the time. And I'm so thrilled to tell you that I looked at his grades today, and they were all A's and B's. And that right there is when it hit home, like, man, just to think of where he could have been. And I know that football gave him something to look forward to other than just being in that lunchroom like he was, and still is at times, very rambunctious and changing things. It makes me also think of another young lady who was new to the school. And I wouldn't say let's call it, she was having trouble fitting in. When it came down to when we get calls and such is having an issue with it, such and such, her name came up all the time. Like literally every situation, no matter who it was, she would be in the mix somehow. So I sat her down one day, and after probably about 3 or 4 times of sitting her down and explaining to her, like, you cannot continue to be in these situations. It's not going to work out best for you. Same situation. I looked at her grades today. She has a C and all A's and B's. And also, I mind you, I have not had her name called on our radio probably in about 3 weeks. And just to see her blossom from being not so much a troublemaker, but always in the mix and having bad grades, and now she walks around with a smile on her face, stays out of everybody's business, and then more importantly, like I say, her grades are up. So those are just 2 kids I think of, and then I also want to just touch on the base of every time I get that random hug, just a kid that that's not on my radar because they're not, as Mike says, not one of our famous kids. But every now and then I'm talking to another kid and I'll just get somebody come up and they hug me and I'm like, hey. So I start paying attention to different kids who are actually paying attention to, as they can probably account for, paying attention to us. Even though we may not be talking to them directly, they see how I interact with people and it's like they're like, hey, come talk to me. So again, I'm thrilled to be in this position. As he said, please don't take it away.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Wayne Kelly. I'm at St. Joe Central Elementary. I've been doing so just this school year, but I'm thrilled to be in this position. I've probably been in this position and not knowing how much impact I could have. I've been able to build a relationship with a lot of teachers, a lot of students in my time being. I can think of one particular situation I just had a few weeks ago. There's a student at St. Joe right now. He's a first grader. He's never been in a traditional school setting. At that particular time, he was causing a fit in class. He was being unsafe and maybe being violent to some of his classmates, his teacher, the entire classroom. Well, they have buddy classrooms at St. Joe to where a teacher will do a room clear and they'll send students out into a next door neighbor's teacher's classroom. And in that situation, I took that student by the hand, walked him down to a distinct location, and we shared some time together. I spoke about what was on his mind. We had an activity reset, and then afterward, he went back to class. Haven't had a problem since with that student, but sometimes students just need a helping hand and just to be heard. So thankful for this role. I'm thankful that we can make an impact in doing this on a daily basis. So thank Matt, Mr. Cleveland Inge, Zorana, Mr. Miller, and also Mr. Mike Manuel, too, for giving us this role. Thank you all, too. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Awesome. I can go sit down. Yeah, they're amazing, and their stories are true and heartfelt, and Dr. Daniel keeps talking about measures of impact, and I think you can see that they are impactful. I had no idea what their stories were going to be, but I've personally watched each of them in action in their building, and I know they're doing an amazing job like so many of our advocates. I know Simon Sinek says, hire for attitude and teach for skills, and that's really what we've done with our advocates. We really want persons first, and then everything else we can teach them. So let's look at some more evidence of impact. So this is where the presentation goes from really cool back to me again. So I want you to see some numbers, maybe. Let's go the other way. There we go. So one of the things that Dr. Daniel's really been talking to us as a leadership team about is evidence of impact. So one of the things that our advocates do every single day for about a half an hour of their day when there are not students present is that we have them log their activity for the day. So this is aggregate data for 3 months, August through October, for the 33 advocates that are now working. And as you can see, they are making an amazing impact. When you think about the easiest way to secure students and keep them safe, the easiest thing is a locked classroom door. 154,000 times doors have been checked by these 33 people. And then you can see the other pieces of data that show that they are actively busy, constantly in motion, constantly working to ensure the safety of the district. Now, not for 1 second do I want to say that this is only because of advocates. You know, when I think of the hard work of the administrators and teachers, of the well-being department, of the student and staff relations department, of the peace advocates, we are but a small piece of that. But what I wanted to do, because this took me back to my principal days, where I always used to know if I was doing a pretty good job as a principal, is I would compare where were we exactly on this day last year. So this is grade 6 through 12. 12. I wanted to look at the grades where I know we've had advocates in all of our buildings, because remember, we still have about 2/3 of our elementary advocates. So these are secondary schools. I looked at day 68. So that was 68 this year compared to 68, day 68 of 23-24. And you can see in both cases when we look at non-serious behavior and serious behavior, we've had what I would say significant decreases from year to year. And what's impressive about that is we know that our enrollment did what? Our enrollment went up. So we have fewer disciplinary incidences over those 3 months at a time when the enrollment in our school has increased. I won't read all these to you, but I thought, again, as we looked for evidence of impact, I wanted you to see what some of our principals say. So I reached out to a couple principals at each grade level. The first one is from Lindsay Baumgardner at Northwood, and you can see the one word I want you to pick out in almost every testimony, again, not solicited. I did not solicit their specific comments, but I think you'll probably see the word relationships in, I think, 5 of the 6 testimonies that I have up there. But this is Lindsay at the middle school level and how she sees her advocate, Andrew. This is from Adam Swinford, and you already heard from Afrika, so you know that she is doing a phenomenal job, but he sees that as well. This is from Shane Krager at Miami, and he has an advocate, Justin Beal, who, interestingly, his wife is a peace advocate at the high school level. But you can see also with him, even though the word relationships is not in his testimony, you certainly see and can feel that relationships is part of that. And I love how he talks about talking with the principal and having a temperature check for how things are going in the building. This is Scott Geist from Lincoln, and he talks about his advocate, Dante. I think you'll see the word relationships in there as well, but he also talks about the conflict resolution that Dante does on a daily basis and how he is constantly in motion. And finally, Zach Harrell, actually not finally, one more, Zach Harrell from Southside. And if you recall, Zach was our original pilot principal for advocates, so he has done a great job. But again, you see the word great relationships in there, and also him noting tangibly that violations are down partly because of their result. And finally, Brian Howard at Haley talks about Molly Clopton. Also, you can see relationships in about the first 3 sentences, but he also talks about her ability to reach out to the security department when things are dangerous or need checking out. So I just wanted you to hear it from all sides. So questions, comments, or feedback?
Is there another district that is doing something similar to this?
I don't know. In Indiana, when we went to Akron, Ohio, we did notice that they had people, but it was more from a safety perspective. And so I don't know that the well-being piece was as big. Mike, did you know of anybody locally?
No.
Okay.
So in that vein, would you consider these folks safety or well-being?
Yes. Yeah, and they really have to.
I mean, that's compared to Akron, I guess.
Oh yeah. I don't know because I was there for a day, but it seemed like they were more just walking hallways. Nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, supervision is important, and when supervision is good, people's well-being improves. But we are really intentional in the well-being piece, especially because that's part of our professional learning plan. So every time we have one of those PL waiver days that we get, 4 days, they spend half a day at the school in the morning, and then they all come down here, and that's when they get that professional learning around well-being. Well-being's important, and when you think about it, well-being's probably even more foundational than safety, because we really believe in our district that if we increase the well-being, safety follows. I just got done listening to a podcast that Mike sent me of a police chief in Atlanta public schools, and it was miraculous how it parallels what we're trying to do there. They do everything they can to prevent arresting students and really spend all their time trying to look at the root cause of what's the behavior. because arresting doesn't improve behavior in most cases. It's figuring out what's wrong in the first place. And you can tell by listening to the three advocates that we have out here is that they're taking that time to have that discussion with kids to figure out what the root cause is. And when you figure out what the root cause is, what happens? Kids' grades go up, kids quit misbehaving, kids participate in co-curriculars because you take that time to figure out. And that's the beauty of this particular job is they're not assigned to do anything else. They're assigned to be in the hallways, to be interacting with as many kids as they can, and when there aren't kids present, they're checking doors.
I really appreciate everybody that's involved in this, but what I do like is to see is that data that we are collecting, because I do know that when we were running that referendum, a lot of questions were, okay, you're getting this money now, you're going to have that for 8 years, and then you're going to come back to us. And one of my comments always was, 8 years is a long time for a student to be in school. That's what, a fourth grader by the time they get to out of high school. If we're doing what we think we can do with this, the dividends are going to play off in the community surrounding you. And so we're doing our part to help out our community as far as we have those 30,000 kids in our school, and they are your community members. So if we can build that foundation here, you'll should see that result in 8 years. So for me, data collection and telling that story and where we were and where we are and where we're going and is super important. So I know that's the extra efforts that go into that and the extra people, but I do appreciate everybody in supporting our community.
Thank you. I think it's an element of trust. I mean, I think you owe the taxpayers, when they are willing to have their property taxes increase, I think you owe them a justification for what they paid their money for. And so I think we can say that we're fulfilling that mission.
I know the job title is student advocate. What do the kids call you? How do they see you? Do they see you as a counselor? I'm kind of curious as to.
Yeah, come on up.
Can you go to the microphone?
So this is my first time coming to one of those. So for me, and I'm sure that everyone will agree, we have a little bit of every title that's in the school. If that makes sense. Sometimes I'm a guidance counselor. Sometimes I'm the safety person. Sometimes I'm advocating for the student. Sometimes I'm mom. Sometimes I'm aunt. Sometimes, it's everything in one. I'm the disciplinarian.
They don't see you
No,
as a-
they do not. Now, have we ever had some say that? For sure. I've had the hardest of the hardest break down and tell me their story or talk to me about what's happened or what's going on. You would be amazed. I can go on and on with stories after stories. But we really fulfill almost every role that's in that school.
Yeah, they don't do discipline. I mean, that's part of their job because we really want to create that atmosphere where kids trust them, where if kids need to say somebody has something they shouldn't have, they're going to go to them first. If they have a friend who maybe is suicidal or really struggling, they're going to go to them first. And when you have a disciplinarian role, that's less likely to happen. It's the primary reason why guidance counselors don't suspend students, right? We try to separate the two, so.
And they do come to us for all of what he just said. They really do come to us to let us know. I just had someone come to me a couple of days back before the weekend, and they like, Upper B restroom, girls. Like, they really do come. They let us know, like, what's going on.
And we do, and I do want to qualify that with, we still expect them to have high expectations. So if Afrika, being a high school advocate, will tell you that she spends a lot of her passing period time making sure kids get to class on time, making sure that their phones are in their pouches, making sure that they aren't collecting in the bathroom when they need to be getting to class. So, but she's not administering the discipline. She's upholding the standards that the administration expects.
And I would agree with what Jennifer said about what we're developing with students, because in nearly every situation where there was something that happened in a school shooting, it was by a student who was troubled, who had no friends in that building. And I really do think that they are warding off those types of situations. And
absolutely, just the mere fact that they are making sure exterior doors are always shut. If you think of Uvalde, Texas, right? That tragedy never should have happened. Why not? Because they had a door that was unlocked and not fixable for 2 months. I can tell you from Darren's perspective, he's getting a lot of work orders because our people check that all the time. Not only does it close, but does it push open and swing back and latch? And so just making sure that the doors are locked. A story I shared with them, because we really have tried to make sure that all classroom doors are locked. And I am the first to admit and not be a hypocrite that when I was a teacher, I never shut my door. It was always open. But that was 35, 36 years ago. We shared with the story of the shooting that happened in Georgia, where the kid brought the automatic rifle, put it in his backpack. It was in his locker till 10:15. When he went to his locker and brought the gun back to his classroom, that door was locked. And he did not make entry. But what did he do? He took 7 steps to the left and went into the classroom where the door was unlocked, and that's where all the fatalities and injuries happened. So something as simple as keeping a door locked literally can mean the difference between life and death, and that's why you see so many door checks.
Thanks for this report. I really like hearing from the advocates themselves, for that personal information and those stories about students. It's great to see how effective you've been. And I've said this before, and I've said it to people I've talked to, I'm just so impressed with the comprehensive program that Dr. Daniel, and your team have put forward. Not, the student advocates, the mental health therapists, the security measures, the open gate system. I mean, it's just so proactive and comprehensive. And I I that's the key. Like you said, safety and well-being.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Dr. Robinson kind of coined the phrase of safety 360. It's a well-being, it's security, and then it's following policy and procedures. So. And
I'm grateful to our community for approving the referendum, and it's good that they can, I'm glad that we're showing the results, and it's probably something we ought to do maybe every 6 months.
Yeah, and I do want to admit, too, that we still almost consider this a pilot. So we are constantly reevaluating, changing. I know our security team turned a 1-hour meeting into a 2.5-hour meeting, figuring out how to better log the narrative that they have to put into their report every day, because we know it's making an impact when principals have now started saying, I want to read what they're doing. So what we spent 2.5 hours on, and by we I mean them, what they spent 2.5 hours on is figuring out what's a standard procedure where we can log all this information that puts it all in one narrative, so if principals want to see what they did every single day of the week, they can see it in a concise, single narrative form. So we continue to grow and evolve, but it's because we've got such a great security team, not only a leadership team, but the advocates themselves, because they suggest things that we should do different.
The other beauty of it, just thinking about it, as a former teacher, when you're dealing with students, everybody in the building has some job that they're supposed to be doing with other students or other adults or something else. Their job is purely, sure, building safety, yes, but for the most part, their job is purely student relationships and student well-being. That is, to me, the best part of your job, and it sounds to me that you're doing it well.
I think it's the best job in the district.
Yeah.
If I was younger, maybe I would consider applying.
Well, when you're retired. So you can retire.
I'll keep working. Quickly.
Piggyback on what she was saying, and also to at least the position I've taken, I also speak to the staff and let them know, hey, it says student advocate, but I'm also yours as well. Because again, we sometimes forget these teachers, and I tell them all the time, I commend them. because I'm coming to talk to one child, and they got 4 others sitting in there. So again, I've had teachers literally break down. And I'm like, hey, go take a break, go walk away, I'll stand here for a second. So it's just to keep that whole, I look at the position as a peacekeeper, to keep everybody in their right mind so we all can keep going, because we all hit that, everybody hits that wall at one point in time. So again, I think it's just, this position has been, I hear it all day long, I'm sure they hear it all day long. They are so happy I'm there. And I can't say that's just me, I think it's that this position is really putting the right mind state for everybody. It gives everybody a comfort zone of, okay, we can move forward versus I'm ready to get out of here.
Good.
I have heard that from staff members as well, that it was, we're trying to radio for help, and there's 30 kids in a classroom and only one is being disruptive, and nobody's answering the call, and now staff members feel like someone is available and someone is going to show up. So I think that from within the building, you do all support the staff, and they see it and they feel it. And I think that that's tremendous, because like you mentioned, I couldn't handle this. I would hit the wall way faster than any of our teachers. So yeah, I think that it's good that we offer that support and that you're there. And not that our teachers wouldn't take the time to sort of dig deeper with what the root cause of the problem is, but again, they're teaching 29 other students. I love the fact that you all get to dig into that and meet the student where they're at and support them through whatever they may be going through. So I just feel like our students are really lucky to have student advocates in our buildings. So thank you for the work that you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that leads us to board member comments.
Thank you.
Steve.
I started my day by touring the Nucor fastener plant in St. Joe, Indiana. They have about 300 people on the payroll, and it was fascinating. They're very interested in a relationship with this district. They're interested in the Schools of Success model, and told them that I would connect their plant with us. They hire high school graduates. Entry-level pay is $60,000 a year. I was surprised because in many factories, there's a high turnover rate. It's somewhat redundant work, and it's dirty. You're not sitting in a clean office, and so it's a challenge. Their turnover rate is very low, and there's a number of reasons why, but I was really impressed with what they do and their interest in working with us. Secondly, if my information is correct, this is the last school board meeting for our Assistant Superintendent for Diverse Learners. Nikki Sprunger is leaving us. She started in education in 1981 as a 6th grade teacher in Southern Indiana and joined us in 2017. So we wish you well in whatever you're doing, and you can always come back. Volunteer. Finally, if for whatever reason you need a little morale boost this time of year, I suggest you find a grandchild, young person, a cheap excuse to go to the movie theater and watch Red One, the holiday movie in which Santa Claus is kidnapped. In any way, there is a happy ending, and I've taken my grandkids to it in 2 different states. It's not going to get a lot of stars, but it is an uplifting movie. So if you're looking for some holiday cheer, Red One is where you need to go. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, well, Happy birthday to you, Steve, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I just want to say I really do appreciate the student advocates and listening to your stories, and that's so important, being able to make those connections with students. It makes a huge difference, so thank you.
So one more day until until Thanksgiving break, right? And then you got 3 weeks, and there's a 2-week holiday break. So I hope all of our staff and students and families have a wonderful time together. And then gird your loins, because the legislative session starts in January, and who knows what may happen. So we'll try to keep you informed.
Happy birthday, Steve, to you as well, and happy anniversary. November 14th was our friend Ashley Sloboda's 8th year at the Journal-Gazette. For all those that like to stay informed, Ashley is a great resource for school districts, as well as the Journal-Gazette as a whole, and we appreciate that long-standing newspaper, the locally owned with Julia Inskeep and stuff. I had the pleasure of, speaking of long-standing, attending the Allen County Birthday Bash, where it celebrated its 200th birthday, with my friend Stephanie Veit and her husband Derek. Stephanie works at Chase Bank and also is on the Southwest Allen County School Board. There were 4 entertainment groups there that were excellent, but none outshone the Northside Wildcatters, led by jazz director Ed King. It was quite the rousing show. I had a half a dozen people that knew me on the school board said, "Wow, you guys got to be proud about that group." I said, "We sure are." Even looking at dates when they play next, they played a little bit, then another function a week later for us. So if you get a chance to go see the Northside Wildcatters, they were
I have to correct you, Wild Ciders.
Wild Ciders, thank you. Thank you, Wild Ciders. Thank you. Tomorrow, I get to go to Northwood Middle School with Principal Lindsay Baumgartner. She's reached out to various people in the community to come work with the Northside Middle Schoolers on different life skills, and Snyder's head basketball coach Josh Reckinen and I are going to teach kids how to tie ties. I'm going to draw through my closet and going to give some away. So I'm excited to go to Northwood tomorrow. And like Julie, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And Dr. Springer, best of luck in retirement.
Harris School, I see you out there. Thank you so much for attending this evening. It's nice to see a good cycle of you all. I know it's not always the most exciting place to be for the evening, but we do appreciate you coming. So thank you, Harris. Last week, I was able to attend our Schools of Success celebration that we had with our various community partners, community outreach, students, et cetera. We had some tremendous talent. Again, Northside was there to play. And our Brody, which I forget his last name, Matt? What was it? Hirsch. He was, our saxophonist from Snyder High School played the Star Spangled Banner, sorry, thank you. Yep. But we have some tremendous talent within, and I think we proved that to our community leaders who showed up that evening. And if you are a community leader who's watching, thank you so much for coming to celebrate with us. We're super excited of where that's going. And to everybody, just have a fantastic celebration this week. We learn to relax, enjoy, and remember that there are things that you cannot control. So smile anyhow and have a great weekend. Thank you.
I think everything's been said that I was going to mention. But have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, 5-day weekend. So I hope you take advantage and enjoy.
Dr. Daniel?
So Dr. Sprunger and I have a common acquaintance. Her father was my football coach in high school.
Nice.
So it's sort of hard to see her leave because I still have some connection with Coach Dickerson way back when. So best wishes for Dr. Sprunger, and many, many years. May you enjoy your retirement. So also thinking about what was discussed this evening with the student advocates, and thinking that the data we saw, that should actually, I think we're going to see a separation of that data much more than what we currently see, because it takes time to create relationships. And I think you've done a marvelous job of already creating those connections, and hoping that you will continue to be in those roles, because 1 year is wonderful. Well, actually, you've only been there for even half a year, not even full year yet. Just think what it's going to be like next year at this time. So, again, kudos to you. Thank you for that team who put that together. So we had a exit survey, or if you will, interview with the team from Ford NGL last Friday afternoon. And again, I have to tip my hat off to the team. I mentioned it Tuesday or whenever it was, I think it was Tuesday night last week, where we had the Schools of Success celebration. And again, for Shanita Bolton, for Jack Bird, and the entire team coming together to move this initiative forward. And then the merging of Junior Achievement 3DE, they gave us the highest marks for what they see in Fort Wayne. And again, they've gone, Donna's actually, where is she? She's in Ireland? Scotland. She's in Scotland. So she's been all over. She's seen it throughout the country, and she says there's something very special here in Fort Wayne. So again, kudos to that team. And lastly, we have much to be thankful for. And hopefully during the next several days, yes, we relax and recharge, but we reflect on the gratefulness that we've been able to enjoy, and thinking about how we can continue doing what we're doing, student advocates, all of us, to again help each of our kids. And I think that's unique about what we're doing. We are truly saying each student matters, and we're placing resources where we think we can best serve those students. And yes, we need to improve. There's no doubt. There are things that we're doing that we need to improve on. But I think we're at the point where we're seeing things become manageable, where we can actually do things to impact student achievement, to impact student well-being. And hopefully, as that happens, we as professional educators remember why we're educators. And we see that success build our, if you will, our mission of what we're doing and creating that positive, constructive feedback. And hopefully, I'd love to see greater retention of our teachers in the years to come. So anyway, just want to end up with that note. So back to you.
Thanks.
After that.
Just wanted to say that I was able to attend the Schools of Success dinner last week, and just thank you to all the staff members, Shanita. The program was so nice. I walked out and my face hurt from smiling, one of those, and it was just like, that was a good event. So I know that was a really big lift, and it took a lot of people. So just thank you. And to see, I got to sit with Miles Clark, who was at our last board meeting, and to hear that the students really feel the impact of the program that's been put together. It was just heartwarming to be like, this was a thing. And I know as a board, Noah at one point goes, are we really doing this? Are we all on board with this? So to see it sort of come to fruition, and know that a lot of people had their hand in it. It's like a cruise ship that we did steer in the right direction. So thank you to everybody that had anything to do with Schools of Success, the teachers, the principals, everybody. And thank you. I know right now it is reflections time for PTAs. I know we are doing reflections at Memorial Park. It is a big undertaking getting students and staff and all the things, judges together, and ribbons and awards, and so we're doing awards tomorrow. So that's why it's fresh on my mind. But thank you to those PTAs that are putting those programs on, and thank you to the staff members who are supporting your PTAs and having those programs flourish within your building. And happy Thanksgiving. And I think that's it for me. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move adjourned.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? I just want to stay. Huh? I just want to stay. Yep. Yeah, right.